So how do I know which strategy to use? So we have learned about the trig ratio, we've learned about cosine law, we've learned about sine law, and there's different formulas. How do I know which strategy to use to solve for my example, for my question? So the first thing that I want you guys to do is I want you to try this quiz and see if you can figure out, if I give you an example, we've learned sine, cosine, tan, which is trigonometry, so katua, cosine law and sine law. So if you can figure out which one of these five formulas you need to use. In the meanwhile, after you do this, we're gonna go over these questions. So what do I have here? So it's asking you to solve for the value of D. So it's asking you to solve for D. If I'm looking at this, I see triangle ABD, which is this right angle triangle. I see angle ABC, or triangle ABC, sorry, so the bigger triangle. And I see bigger right angle triangle. And I see AD and C. Now, if I'm looking at ABC and ABD, they're both right angle triangle. If I'm looking at ADC, it's an oblique triangle. Okay, so here's what defines. Here's where I'm defining if I can use trig ratio or if I have to use sine and cosine. Okay, so you guys have to be careful with this. I'm defining my triangles. Now, since I'm solving for side D, I can look at a few things. First of all, if I look at triangle ABD, this triangle here, I know that the only thing that's given to me is angle 55 in that triangle. So that's not going to help me. Now, if I look at the bigger triangle, which is ABC, I only know part of a side, which is side DC, and I know 35. I don't know the big side, which is BC. I don't know the whole thing. So again, I can't use that big triangle ABC. So I can't use ABC, I can't use ABD, so I'm only left with ADC. So if I'm looking at triangle ADC, we said that triangle ADC is, first of all, is oblique. So I can't use the trig ratios. Okay, so I have to use sine law or cosine. Now, what do I want to find? I know this angle here. I know this side. I need another piece of information. That's not enough. So what I need to find this side here, because by finding this side here, then I have the triangle ABD, then I'll have angle 55, and I'll have this side, so I can solve for this side. So the first step, I figured that I need to solve for side AD. Now what I know here is I know side DC, and I know angle 35. That's not enough information. I need to know, first of all, I need to find this angle here, because that's the opposite to this side. Okay, now I know that this is 55. 55 plus this angle here, so I'm gonna draw this, I'm gonna color them in yellow. So that 55 degrees and this angle, both of them together make 180 degrees because they're forming a line, okay? So that 55 here and that other angle they're going to make 180, which means to find angle ADC, I need to do so I'm finding angle ADC, it's equal to 180 minus 55, right? So because then I can find this angle here. So that's going to be 125 degrees. So now I know this is 125 degrees. Remember that the sum of angles inside of a triangle is also 180. So the angle of a line is 180. And the sum of angles inside a triangle, when I add them all together, that equals 180. Remember that. So if this is 125, this is 35, what would this angle be? So angle A is equal to, or let's be more specific because I have too many angles A here. So let's call it angle DAC. Angle DAC is equal to 180 minus 125 minus 35. So that's going to be 160, and then 180 minus 160, that's 20 degrees. All right, now I know this. Come on. I know that this is angle 20. I know the opposite side. I know this is angle 35. I'm looking for this side. So I'm looking for side C. All right, so I have to use the sine law because I have an angle on its opposite side, and I have another angle I'm looking for its opposite side. So let's call this side A. So I'm looking for side C, and I know side A. So A over sine A equals to B, or C, I don't need the B, C over sine C. So side A is 24 over sine 20 equals to, I don't know what side C is, over sine 35. So I'm going to do what we call the half cross multiply. So that's going to be 24 times sine 35 over sine 20. So 24 times sine 35 divided by sine 20. And that's going to give me C equals to 40.2 meters. All right, so I'm gonna clear this. So far what I know is I know what I found. I found that this is 40.2. Now, in order for me to solve for side D, now I need to use triangle ABD. So to use triangle ABD, I can use now SOHCAHTOA because it's a right angle triangle. So triangle ABD, this is the known angle, 55. So this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite. I'm looking for the opposite. I know the hypotenuse. So SOHCAHTOA, sine. So that will be sine D equals to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So it's going to be sine 55 equals to, I don't know what the opposite is, it's letter D divided by the hypotenuse, which is 40.2. Now, in order to solve for D, I'm going to have to multiply. So I'm going to bring the 40.2 here. It's going to be 40.2 times sine 55 equals to D. And 40.2 times sine 55, that's going to be 32.9 meter equals to D. And the answer for this, it's going to be 32.9 meter. Now, let's read the next example. So the plans for a new house require a triangular frame for the roof truss. the angle of inclination of one side is 47 degrees, while the angle of inclination on the other side is 58 degrees. The horizontal distance of the base of the truss is 83 meter, 8.3 meter. Determine the height of the truss. All right, so I'm just gonna press on this answer. Maybe they have the picture. There you go. So I wanna show you, actually, let's go back here. I wanna show you how to graph this. So what I have here is I have a roof, okay? So because I have a roof, I know the roof is going to be a triangular, triangle. And I know that angle of inclination is measured from the horizontal. Remember that. So this is my roof. Okay. Now, angle of inclination means angle of elevation. So the angle of elevation of the first, what does it say here? The first side is 58 degrees. So this is my angle of elevation here. So that's 58 degrees. The angle of elevation of the other side is 47 degrees. I skipped one, doesn't matter. And then they're saying that the horizontal distance of the base is 8.3. So that means the base here is 8.3 meter. They want you to determine the height of the truss. So since we're determining the height, that means I am finding this side right here. So I'm looking for this side. Now, the problem is, if I'm looking at this side here, the height, if I look at this triangle here, so let's call it A, B, C, D. So if I'm looking at triangle ADC, that's a right angle triangle. But inside that triangle, I only know angle 47. I don't know any of the sides. I do not know what is this side right here. I don't know what side CD is, okay? I know what side BD is, but that doesn't mean I know what side CD is. So I can't use this small triangle. Can I use triangle ACB? No. Again, same idea. I don't have anything except angle B. That's it. I don't know any of the other sides. So in this case, I might have to use the big triangle, which is an oblique triangle. So I might have to use this. Let me see if I can. I have to use this big triangle first. Okay, now to use this big triangle, I know angle, I know a side, and I know an angle. So I can either solve for side AD or I can solve for side AB. Does it matter? Is it gonna give me any difference? No, it's not. So I have the choice. If let's say I wanna solve for side AD, okay? Let's call it B, let's call this D, and let's call this A because it's across from angle A. Now, what is angle A? Angle A, if I find angle A, it's gonna be 180 minus 58 minus 47. So first I'm gonna find angle A, and that's gonna be 180 minus 58 minus 47. And that's going to be 75 degrees. So angle A is 75. Now if I'm finding side B, right? And I know angle A and side A, so I can use sine law. So that's going to be A over sine A equals to B over sine B. I'm gonna plug in the information, so 8.3 over sine 75 equals to side B, which I don't know, over sine 58. Doesn't matter which one you find, you're gonna end up with the same answer. So now to find B, I'm gonna have cross multiply, so it's gonna be 8.3 times sine 58 divided by sine 75. And that's going to give me an answer of 7.3 meter. So what I did here is now I found side B, which is 7.3 meter. Now, I have enough for information. So if I look at this triangle now, ABD, I have enough information. I know this angle 47. I know this side, which is the hypotenuse, and I'm looking for this side, which is the opposite. Okay, so I'm looking for the opposite, knowing the hypotenuse. Again, so katoa, you have to use a sign because opposite and hypotenuse. So that means sine D is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So that's sine 47 equals to, I don't know what the opposite is, over 7.3. You're gonna bring this over as a multiplication. So the opposite is equal to 7.3 times sine 47. And that's going to be 7.3 times sine 47. And that's going to be 5.34. So that's going to be 5.3 meter. Okay, so therefore the height of the truss is 5.3 meter. So if you see here, they also did find the side. No, actually, they found this side right here. They found this side, which is across from the 47. So they found D, and then we ended up with the same answer. Okay. All right. So you're looking at your pictures, you're looking at your graphs, your drawings, and then you're gonna have to decide what you know, what do you need to know, what do you need to find first. Sometimes you have to use multiple formulas to solve. It's selecting the right strategy. Okay, so it won't be only one way. Sometimes there's multiple ways. Sometimes for the first step, you are stuck with a formula, and then after that, you can pick one or the other to solve. Okay.